So last term we focused a lot on twists, and some of you mentioned you'd quite like some kind of video to look back on to remind you how to do some of the postures that we've been focusing on. So I thought I would just look at revolved triangle today, Parivrtta Tikonasana. We'll break it down a little bit and give you a few options. So stepping your right foot back, and we'll find our way into a warrior one stance. So making sure you have the right length of stance for you that enables you to really root down both into both feet, but also the right width. So in revolved triangle, we're not necessarily taking a huge, enormous, long stance. And for this reason, you might find it more helpful when you step back to keep that kind of comfortable hip width-ish width in your stance. So it's more like this rather than like this. So I usually refer to this as being you're on train tracks rather than on a tightrope. If you're on a tightrope, you'll find yourself a lot more wobbly. So keep enough comfortable width in your stance and the right length as well. So you might have to fiddle around and play with that until you get it. Throughout the pose, you want to feel that you're really rooting equally into both feet. Because what tends to happen is people lose the connection with their back foot and the heel might start to lighten or even lift. And there's far too much weight going down through the front foot and maybe even down through your hands. Actually, you should feel in the pose that you're able not to touch anything with the hands. Feet and legs are working hard in this pose. So when you step back, bring your hips round to face the front. Chest faces the front. Spread your toes and root your heels. It's okay to have a little bend in that front knee if you need to. And I like to avoid kind of locking the knee. Because for me, that does not feel helpful. And actually, it causes me to lose the connection between my front foot and the earth if I lock out that front knee. So I like to bend that front knee just a tiny bit. I keep my back leg nice and straight and strong, and that enables me to root down into the heel. So from there, we fold from the hips. We just start to hinge forward from the hips. Back of the legs might say to you, "Ooh, that's enough." And if that's the case, stop. What I don't want you to do is to think that you have to keep going and then start to round and crumple your back like this. So keep going. And if you only get to say here, then that's perfectly fine. You might just bring your hands, palms together, either to the inside or the outside of that front leg and stay there, work from there. If you can go a little bit further, you might want to use a block. So you bring a block either to the inside of that front leg, below your shoulder, and just place your hand lightly on the block. Or maybe to the outside of that front leg. Place your hand lightly to the block. So I'm placing my right hand on the block. So it's up to you. If you don't have a block, as I say, palms to the inside or the outside of the front leg. So you decide, figure that out first. And then it's quite helpful to bring your hand to the front hip and gently press that front hip away from you. So you're reaching back equally into both sit bones. If you press that hand into the hip and pull back a little, it gives you something to lengthen away from. So you can reach through the spine. And then once you've established that, you can begin to rotate. So that's stage one. Stage two is to rotate. So start to rotate your chest round to the left. And just pause when you meet resistance. You can keep your hand on the hip. You can wrap it behind your back. Or you might want to reach it up towards the ceiling. Chin tucked, back of the neck long. You can look up or you can look down. Breathing into the chest, breathing out to the belly, legs and feet. Into the chest, out, belly, legs and feet. And if you're leaning into a block, just challenge yourself a little bit here. See if it's possible to stabilize yourself in the position whilst hovering your hand above the block. And that will bring all that energy down into the legs again. And then release. We'll try it on the other side. So stepping forward, come up, and then step back with your left foot. Establish the right length and width of stance for you. Hands on hips. Start to reach forward, hinging from your hips. Find your way into stage one. Lengthening spine. Deciding where you want to put your block, whether it's to the inside of the leg, the outside of the leg, or whether you're not using a block, maybe just bring your hand to the outside of that front leg. And then we begin to rotate. So this time, rotating to the right. And I'm gently pressing my right hip away from me slightly and lengthening forward into my crown. You might stay here or wrap that arm behind your back or reach up towards the ceiling. Weight equal into both feet. And breathe into the chest and out to the belly, legs and feet. Let's challenge ourselves and see if we can stabilize ourselves through the legs without using the hand at all. Maybe bring the hand lightly to the leg. Breathe. And then breathe out, release. Press to stand. Step forward. And relax.